Geometry, Unit 2, Lesson 5. I can identify parallel, perpendicular, and skew lines in 3 dimensions. So parallel lines are perhaps a little sketch like this, but the thing to notice is that they happen to be coplanar. They're in the same flat surface. So we're going to go ahead and define this as 2 coplanar lines that never intersect. Now perpendicular, they're going to be in the same plane as well. However, they intersect at 90 degrees. Same idea. There we go. Coplanar is the key here. Now, coplanar is really talking about two-dimensional because two-dimensional is a flat surface. Okay, so like a flat surface of points, really. And it's represented by length and width. So again, you have yourself a little plane here, and you've got the width going this way, you've got the length going that way. Oops, excuse me. Width, length. Now 3 dimensions are really what it sounds like. Instead of just 2 dimensions, length and width, we're going to have 3, length, width, and height. So for 3D, or 3-dimensional, we want to think of the space of points represented by length, width, and height. So you can do the same sketch here where you have your length and your width, but now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead in and add a height. And what you can do is add a same height at each one like this, and then just connect them up. Okay, 3-dimensional, 2-dimensional. We've been working in 2 dimensions now, so let's switch it over to 3 dimensions. So parallel lines in 3 dimensions, perpendicular lines in 3 dimensions, pretty similar here. But what happens if you have 2 lines that don't intersect, but they're not in the same plane? Well, that right there is what we're going to go ahead and we're going to call skew. Let's see. So skew are 2 non-coplanar lines that never intersect. So they sound like parallel, but notice the key, they're non-coplanar, whereas parallel are coplanar. So, for example, while parallel looks like this, they're in the same flat plane, an example of skew would be, there's our plane, but let's go 3-dimensional instead of 2-dimensional. And let's pick 2 lines that are non-coplanar. So they can't be on the same side of this box, which we're going to call a prism. And I can pick a bunch of different examples. Here's one. I'm going to pick this line in the back. And now if I pick this one right here, it's parallel because it's in the same plane. But skew means not in the same plane, so I can't pick it. Instead, I'm going to pick this one here. Notice how it's on the bottom plane. So there's like the top of the box here, and then there's the bottom of the box down there. And they're in 2 different planes. those are skew lines. They're non-coplanar and they still never intersect. Okay, let's go ahead and work through some examples to make sure you feel good with this. So our goal here on number 1, use highlighters and geometric notation to identify parallel, perpendicular, and skew lines on the prism. Prism is a 3D solid like we see here. So let's highlight 2 parallel lines. Okay, remember they are coplanar. There's a bunch of examples here. How about I pick these 2 right here? And you can pause and quiz yourself and then hit play and see if you're right when I go over it. So I'm going to say that line XG is parallel to line EQ. And you might be saying, well, those aren't lines, those are segments. And I think you'd be right. I could put little dots here instead or just get rid of the arrows. Because technically, and that's another discussion, are there really any lines? I mean, these don't go on forever in both directions. We're referring to them as lines, thinking that they would go on. If you just said segment XG and segment EQ, that would be totally fine as well. So this is what I mean by geometric notation. Okay, and notice our find is to identify. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to find. We're trying to name those things. So there is a pair of parallel lines. I could have gone in another way. Perhaps I could have gone, with VG and TX. Notice they're in the front plane. Or how about TR and XE? They're in the top plane. Bunch of different examples. Let's go ahead and try perpendicular lines. If you want, hit pause and try it on your own. Okay, here I go. So while before I was working on parallel, now I'm going to work on perpendicular. And so for me, I'm going to go ahead and stick with line XG there. And then I'm going to go with line VG. And you can see that they make 90 degrees. Could have also gone with GQ. They would have made 90 degrees right here as well. This is assuming all of these are rectangles. So let's go ahead and notate that. Line XG is perpendicular to line VG, 90 degrees. Okay, now we're going to go after skew lines. Remember the key here, non-coplanar. So let's take a look. How about we start with line TX? Can you say VG? No, because it's in the front plane. Can you say RE? No, because it's in the top plane. Those are parallel lines. But if I come down here and I choose GQ, those are skewed because they're in different planes. The first green line is in the top plane, while this green line is in the bottom plane. Okay, it's so important. So line TX and line GQ are just one example. You could see if you can find others. Could have also gone with VM. That is going to be skew to TX. Okay, let's go ahead, or perhaps EQ, don't forget, or RM. Let's now focus not on lines, but on planes. That's really important. Okay, we're trying to highlight 2 parallel planes. Bunch of examples here. So if you take a look, how about we go with the top and the bottom of the prism. We could have said the front and the back, or the left and the right as well. Now I have to notate this, so I need to start with the word plane. And I need 3 letters, so how about RTX? Or you could have said EXT or RXE. You just need 3 coplanar letters, and notice they make a triangle. They're non-collinear, so they name the plane. I'm going to go with RXE. That plane is parallel to plane VMG. Okay, now perpendicular, just like it sounds, 90 degrees. let's go ahead and find them here. You can hit pause and try it. Okay, here I go. I'm going to go with, how about the top of that prism? And then I'll go with this side. So if you take a look, they are perpendicular to each other. So I'm going to say plane TRE and plane, how about GQE? All right, so those right there are perpendicular to each other, whereas the other ones are parallel. Can you have skew planes? That's a really good question. Think about that one. We'll come back to it in the lesson. We're going to go down now and look at the last one. We want to create a ray RE. Okay, well, where's RE? Here it is. So starting at R and going through E, that would be ray RE. I'm going to do ray TX. And now where is line XE? It said line, so I have to go the other way too. Okay, can you see the two lines cut by a transversal? Here are my two lines here, cut by this transversal. Highlight consecutive interior angles. Consecutive interior angles. So that would be like this angle here and that angle there, which means those right there would be supplementary. It also means that the angle here and here are also going to be consecutive interior, and those will be supplementary. Just another application from what we learned earlier in the unit. Okay, good luck.